Hi, my name is Moos Detweiler. I'm an advanced academics coach at Jefferson Middle School in Arlington. I primarily work with teachers on planning for their intensified courses and how to make sure that their instruction is engaging and challenging. My videos for this class are geared towards making sure that our teachers have instructional strategies in their back pockets, that those instructional strategies are easy for them to use, that they're low prep, and that they're confident in making sure that their lessons include strategies, not just learning materials like worksheets, videos, and labs. They need to have learning strategies in order to make the lessons complete and challenging. So that's what these videos will be about. Hey everyone, I'm coming to you from the swamp, the Moos Swamp, and I'm in the Moos Swamp today because I'm going to talk about a learning strategy called question formulation technique, also known as QFT. Our Q focus for the day is going to be ecosystems, and so we're going to talk a little bit about this swamp that's right here and how we can use the question formulation technique to really pull out some research questions and discussion questions for students. Okay, so like I said, we're coming to you from the swamp, and I have those same 3 questions as the first video. How do I keep all of my kids engaged since we have open enrollment advanced courses? How do I make sure that my most advanced kids are not totally bored? And how do I plan effectively so that I'm not making a bunch of different lesson plans for the different levels of students in my classes? So the main planning component for QFT as a teacher is to make sure that you have a solid Q focus. The Q focus is what your students will write questions about. And the key is that it cannot be a question. It has to be a topic. So for our example today with the swamp in the background, our Q focus will be ecosystems. So once your students have their Q focus, their first step is to write as many questions as they can about the topic. Okay, so if I'm a student and my Q focus is swamp ecosystems, here are the questions that I came up with. What kind of animals live in the swamp? Do beavers live here? Why are there pelicans now but not 10 years ago? Why is the swamp so close to the lake, but they're so different? What is the purpose of cattails? What was here first, the swamp or the lake? Are the fish in the lake the same as the swamp? Do the bears roam the swamp or just the woods? How far back can I walk into the swamp before I sink? And what are the most dangerous predators in the swamp? Does the outdoor shower shampoo affect the swamp? Okay, so step 2 is to look at the questions and to change 1 or 2 questions that are open-ended and make them closed, and then closed questions and make them open-ended questions. Step 3 of the QFT process is for the students in their groups to choose their top 3 questions. Questions that are different from each other, questions that they would like to engage in discussion on, or questions that they feel like they'd like to research more. And then step 4 of the question formulation technique is to have your students engage in research or discussion or whatever you've planned for them to do with these questions. So kind of going back to the questions that we had at the beginning of this video, how do we make sure our intensified courses keep everyone engaged? The QFT process is a great strategy to use when you yourself don't want to box kids in a topic. And so an ecosystem is a broad topic and kids can follow their own interests if the QFT strategy is used. How do we make sure that our advanced learners aren't bored? Kids who are looking at this swamp, who have a vast amount of knowledge about ecosystems, will still have things that they're wondering about. So being able to ask questions and then research the things that they're genuinely interested about keeps them from being bored and disengaged. And then going back to that final question of how do we plan efficiently? We don't want a bunch of different lessons within one class period because of the wide variety of abilities. QFT is great for that. You just make sure you have a good Q focus and your students will drive the topics and the levels of inquiry.